everyone, to another episode of the BreezeWay 510. My name is Erika Reed. I am your host, otherwise known as E-Reed. And today I have with me a great, wonderful guest. He is a poet, he is a musician, and he is a writer, the one and the only Oakland native, Alibaba. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming to the BreezeWay, visiting with us.
Thanks for having me. I spend a lot of my time in the BreezeWay, by the way, but that's the other BreezeWay.
Okay. And I love your ensemble. I love the colors that you have going on right now.
Oh, yes. Got to be colorful. My father used to say, dress for the job you want, not the one that you have.
That's right.
So if you don't have some money, wear some money.
All right. That's good advice. Good advice. Now, tell us a little bit about who is Alibaba?
Yeah, that's a good question, because most of what we do in life is, we're in search of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that when we finally find out who that is, time is up. But I had a lot of encouragement early on. Basically, I'm born in Oakland, California. I come from a musical family, as it were. And so we'd have the fish fry on Friday night, and all the kids would have to come together and do their show.
Mm-hmm.
Had my first recording contract at 15 years old with Music City Records right here in Oakland. And that's what we did when we were growing up. We played sports, or we sang, and we danced, and we do that in competition with this next street over and then the next neighborhood over. So, I was born an impresario, as it were.
Okay.
I like to say that a piano is the altar to my grandmother. We always had a piano in the house coming up. And so, my grandmother also paid for music lessons for my older brother and my older sister, who made her transition some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So always get your breast checked. So I took the when I was a kid coming up in the Oakland public school system, they had what was called the Music in the Schools program.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to wait until you were in the fourth grade.
Okay.
In order to take the test. And I mean, there's probably a decent reason behind it. I thought it was because, by the time you're in the fourth grade, you develop some finger dexterity, some eye-hand coordination.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be able to be in the music program, you had to take what was called the musical aptitude test.
Mm-hmm. So
I took the musical aptitude test.
Okay.
And I had the highest score in the whole district, Oakland Public School District.
Okay.
Right? So I was able to choose the instrument that I wanted. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I wanted to play guitar, and they didn't have guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what comes natural for me, growing up also in the church, is singing.
No, that's right. That's right.
You sing too.
You sing everything. Church.
So I wanted to have something that could express that vocalization.
Mm-hmm.
Since they didn't have guitar, my father was a jazz man. He loved jazz, so I decided to play trumpet. And so I started off with trumpet. So they had this thing. It's a funny little story, right? They tell you, don't let anybody touch your instrument. But of course, in the kind of house I'm living in, right, mm-hmm. everybody's thing is everybody else's thing.
Right.
So I came in the house one day, and there was my trumpet laying on the bed, and the mouthpiece was in it. And I tried to take the mouthpiece out of it, and the mouthpiece was stuck, and I couldn't get it out. So I went and I took a clothes hanger and tried to get that to screw it in there. It got stuck.
He went MacGyver on your trumpet.
I tried to. Clothes hanger got stuck. Took an ink pen and tried to, the little metal ink pens, they used the little filament in the mm-hmm. ink pen made of metal. Mm-hmm. It got stuck. It popped. Blue ink got all over the trumpet. So I took it, put it in the case, stuck it up under the clothes in my closet. So Tuesday morning came around, and it's time to go ahead and go to music class. Where's your instrument at? Well, it's over my uncle's house, and I'm going to get it Thursday, music class comes. Where's your instrument? Oh, it's still at my uncle's. I'm going to get it. All the time I'm trying to, biding my time to get up to Fiore's music store to get something to get this thing unstuck with.
Right.
So I'm thinking, all right, if I don't get this thing fixed by the next music class, which is going to be the following Tuesday, I'm just going to have to go tell the folks
the truth.
Well, it wasn't the truth. It was hidden. It wasn't like I was lying. So I'm in the classroom Monday morning. There's a knock on the back door, and this is where the parents come. So I'm a straight A student. None of my parents should be here. I hear this snickering. I turn around and look. There's my mother with this old coat with the sleeves up to the shoulder, curls in her head. My auntie standing behind her with the trumpet, and you could see the clothes hanger hanging out of the end of the trumpet. I was mortified. I said, I will never take a music lesson again. I said, I will never, ever take a music lesson again. Now, that's a mistake. Okay. Now, I've made 7 albums. I've been around the world on tour. And listen, I was lucky and fortunate because the best way to approach this is the classical way. Study hard, take your musical lessons, etc.
Okay.
But so that's a little bit about how Alibaba is.
Okay, all right.
It's in my blood. Music is.
Okay. Now you said you toured around the world and you created 7 albums.
Yeah.
Now who did you start with when you started in this music industry as a professional musician?
Well, again, I had my first music recording contract at 15 years old. My parents signed for me with Music City Records. It's in Oakland. Used to be a big label. I sung the background on that song, Silly Song by Two Things in One. It's maybe before your time. But we had other people on the label. A good friend of mine, Freddie Hughes, who's the father of Derek Hughes. He was with the label. Oh, we all got ripped off.
I just met Derek Hughes, as a matter of fact.
You met Derek? Well, Derek's the son of Freddie. And my brother helped to produce an album for Freddie, for Derek. I forget which one that's called. A couple of albums ago. He's on tour, by the way.
Okay.
Overseas. I think he's in China, something like that. So we used to do the doo-wop, dance, and step kind of thing. And we wrecked all of the talent shows all over the city here. Oakland, San Francisco, Richmond, wherever there was a talent show, we hit it.
Right. Y'all just soaked up the back.
Yeah. And and our group was really good, and we got signed. But unfortunately, the second tenor, Kevin Grant, his father, passed away. And so he didn't have his contract signed. And we signed as a group.
Right.
So that kind of put a damper on that. I went on and moved on. Eventually, my brother, who we talk more about him later, Rudy Wongozi, he's a pianist, jazz pianist. He's in New York right now. I went to stay with him up in Portland, Oregon. I think I was about 17 years old, 18 years old. And really got immersed in it. And that's when I started playing out. Played timbales, drums, xylophone, a lot of percussion. And I was a singer. That's when I began to get hooked up with a lot of the top-notch cats around. Jazz guys, really. Rasul Sadiq, Gassim Batamundug, and Rudy Wongozi. And I began to play out, getting spotty gigs from here and there. So we put together a family group, and at that time, actually it was my band. It was called Zam Fam.
Zam Fam?
The Zam Family Band. Zam Fam is actually the initials of my name. Zaib Ali Wali Mufuruk Abdullah Wongozi. And so Zam Fam. We played clubs and whatnot around this area. that pushed into becoming like pretty well known on the local scene. That band eventually became Alibaba and the Fresh 40. They used to call us the 40 Thieves.
Okay.
And we go out and busk on the streets. You know, we played right in front of there at UC Berkeley, right there at Sproul Hall. Yeah, we play there, play on Telegraph Avenue, make, you know, $40, $50, $60 a day, doing 2 or 3 sets a day.
Right.
And so, and at the same time, I was working at UC Berkeley.
Okay.
So I'm working at UC Berkeley in the daytime. At night, I come out, I'm playing on the streets. And I had this, you know, self-absorbed thing of I've got to do something to kind of just change my persona.
Right.
So I got into the face painting and stuff and the costuming and stuff.
Okay.
I started doing that kind of thing.
You stepped it up a little bit.
Step up my game a little bit. So that pushed into, so some people, you know, well, there are a lot of people who walk up to you on the street when you're playing your music and throw $1, $2 in their hat. You don't know who this guy is.
Very true.
One of these guys turned out to be somebody who wanted to have members of the group come over to Europe.
Oh, wow.
So all of those guys went over there. Some of them are still over there now. I didn't go. I stayed, did some other stuff. I think I was in one of my, I'm what you would call a serial monogamist. So I was,
okay.
It's better to marry than to burn, I think. Well, I was in one of those things. I couldn't leave, didn't want to leave who I was with. So I started doing the same thing that a lot of the young hip hop guys do. You make your own record. In those days, it was cassettes.
Right, right.
You know, you make your cassette, so you do your cassette, you dub them up, you have 150 cassettes. You sit down on the Smith Corona typewriter, you type all your labels, and you stick them on. You do your artwork, you cut them and fold them, and you get out on the streets and you play and you sell them.
That's right.
Or as they say, out of the trunk.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Trunk sales.
Sell them out the trunk. So we going gold and platinum out of the trunk. You know?
Right.
So I made the album, the first album. My first album, This and That. And it was, I'd say, for lack of a better term, it was R&B. But it was eclectic, you know. But it was R&B. And did some sales. So I did another little album called From the Basement to the Penthouse. Right. And so that kind of caught on, and then I caught the eye of a lady by the name of Ruth Vanderkar. She was actually a student of mine. I was, at that time, I was working in the computer lab over at Los Medanos College, out in Pittsburgh, East County out there. And she fell in love with, first, me.
Okay.
And I found out then that she was married. I don't do that. I mean, I'm an out there cat, but I try to stay close to the straight and narrow as I can. Nope. So in order to hang out with me, she says, is there any way I can be in your life? Says, well, help me to push this album. You can be my manager.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that you don't need to use people to do what you need to do.
Right, right.
I'm saying, you know, you want a reason to join up because I'm passionate about this. I've always seen this as my purpose in life. So, she says, yeah, she'll do it. So we got hooked up and we sold about 3,000-4,000 copies here locally of the Basement album. And so it happened in a strange way, as it usually does. Things are like, a lot of times it's coincidence, but it really is purpose. She was some kind of bigwig with the Boy Scouts of America, having had 3 sons. They were having the Jambo. You know, every year they do the Jamboree. And this year it happened to be in Holland, you know, the Netherlands. So my band was over there already. And I'm feeling like, well, a poet, a prophet or a poet is unloved in his own city anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here. I'm going to go and become famous and sell a million copies in Europe.
Right.
Then when I come back, I'll be vindicated, right?
Right.
So since she was going over there, I said, well, I'm going to put it together and I'm going to come over there with you.
Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
Well, the money thing didn't go good. I wasn't able to make the money to get there. So I came back to the house, looked on the table, and there was the ticket, the round trip ticket sitting on the table.
Oh, wow.
Let's go. So, great. So I pressed out about 5,000 more and shot over. Let's go. Got over there. I'm walking around Piccadilly Square, Piccadilly Circus over there.
Uh-huh.
I hear somebody say, "Hey, Baba!" In London. I'm in London.
Right. And it was your crew.
It's one of my boys.
And it was your crew. It was your crew.
We everywhere, right? If you're from Oakland, you can be seen everywhere. So I got over there, hooked up, bam. Sold my first tape over there in front of Planet Hollywood, right there on Lights in the Piccadilly Circus. So I said, well, this is great. We stayed there for about 3 days. We head out to go to Amsterdam, where the Jambo is, right?
Right.
Got over there, so I'm looking for my bass player, Muhammad Rahim, and my guitar player, whose name is Lamar Chase. In fact, he was a real heavyweight guitarist here in the Bay Area. I never did like Lamar that much because I was jealous of Lamar. Lamar would be walking on the tables in the bar, playing the guitar with his teeth.
Okay.
Can't do that, man. It's my band.
He was showing out.
Cool out. But it was great. I loved him, and finally ran into Lamar when I got there. But before I ran into Lamar, I ran into my partner, Gassim. I'd only been there about 3 days. He says, "Got a gig for you, Baba." So we ended up playing, and this was the thing for the brother. Here I am. Now I'm very remiss, and I know I'm going to get dinged for this. The brother who is in the penitentiary now, who they were going to murder, I say murder, or put in the chair. Anybody know that brother's name? No. The brother who, Mumia Abu Jamal. They had an international rally because it was 2 days before they were going to put him to death. And they had a rally over in Amsterdam for the brother Mumia. I get on there on the stage, playing in front of like 10,000 people from Holland. They didn't even understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan stole the bacon. They're thinking, yeah, got the hands up, Black Power.
Right, of course.
They don't know a freaking word I'm saying.
Right.
That was my first gig over there.
Okay. Now, since you've done so much, and you've done so much music, and you've been all over, and I love your stories and how you were able to get there.
Yeah. That's
would you do us the honor before we segue into giving the audience your information? Would you mind reading them a little bit of your poetry or what you have, so that they get another side of you, since we now know the musical side of who Ali Baba is?
I'd love to. In fact, one of the poems that I did, I turned it into a song when I was there, was one called "I Am Africa." So I do that for you, and it's in the book. The book is called Poeticate. Poeticate. And but I'll do that for you. Oh, thank you. And it's in here somewhere. And in fact, by now, I don't even have to read the book.
Oh, okay.
I do it by heart. But I'll do this one.
Okay, thank you.
I am Africa. I am Africa, whose territorial boundaries stretch from the shores of Guinea to the depths of my soul. I'm Africa. I'm Africa, Proud and happy, black and nappy. Thick lips, round hips. Brought here on slave ships from the land where all life began, where Allah created the first man. That was Africa. Hear me, Africa. I am you and you are me, torn like pages from a book that was censored by a thought, caught in a wind straight from the hell zone, and scattered like thistles all over the whole world. I'm not alone. I'm Africa. I'm everywhere you look and everywhere you turn. In every land my fires burn. In Asia, Cuba, Mozambique, Iraq, Iran, and Battle Creek, Australia, Trinidad, and Birmingham, and I got 3 kids in Vietnam. But most of all, you find me in Africa, where I'm thousands of years of age, born of the original land, the original man, with the original plan. With great civilizations in their darkest hour, and using the devil's power, they descended on our masses like a vulture and tried to strip our culture. But I'm Africa. I'm rage, I'm fear, I'm love, I'm truth, I'm destiny. I'm the pretty round ass and tiny precious breast that fed the dread. How many of my children are dead? I'm Dred Scott, William Sylvester, W.E.B. Du Bois, B.B. King, Rodney King, Martin Luther King, King Tut. I'm Iceberg Slim, Reverend Ike, Ike Turner, Malcolm X, Jesus Christ, Geronimo Pratt, Billie Holiday. I'm Esther Phillips, Esther Roll, Coretta Scott King, Michael Jackson, Emmett Till, Barack Obama, Jesus Christ. I'm a Haley Jackson, Reggie Jackson, Jesse Jackson. I'm Marvin Gaye, Edie Amin, Dada Red Fox. I'm Jamie Foxx, Richard Pryor, Thurgood Marshall, Marshall Falk. I'm Crispy Addicts, Crispus Addicts. Tyra Banks, Hank Aaron. I'm Willie Mays, Willie Stargell, Frank Wills, Harry Belafonte. I'm Count Basie, Foxy Brown, James Brown, Jim Brown, Willie Brown, Steve Biko. Died in chains. Treat me like trash, drive me insane. Make me a slave. Turn my babies into junkies, spit on my grave. Keep me in turmoil and exclusion, putting chains on our brains. Keep me in hellish living conditions, not living, merely existing. Keep me at bay with pay, at odds with sub-gods. Transplant 300 million of my children into pain. Compound that with gyvation 1,000-fold. You can't kill me. You can't kill me. You can't kill the soul. I'm Africa, and for me my children came. To me my children will return. Will return. That's I am Africa.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet in this room, and it's kind of subdued. I'm actually a lot more animated and wicked when I'm.
Yeah, I believe it, because when you got into the going naming off all them the people of who you were like tapping your foot, like you was about to start jamming in a minute.
Yeah. I'm. I used to be a dancer as well, and I'm also from the theater, and a lot of what we do as poets, and one of the tools that we use is rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important to have that rhyme scheme. And it becomes musical, it becomes melodic. Mm-hmm. If you look at a lot of the hip hop that's happening right now, they don't talk about too much, but it's
melodic.
So melodic that the voice becomes like an instrument.
That's right.
So I'm loving the hip hop these days too.
Okay, all right. Now go ahead and share with our audience where they can find your pieces of work, where they can find your music, information about you, social media, anything. You can go ahead and look.
Well, as you well know, I'm everywhere that there is a computer. I'm on www.reverbnation.com/Zai of course, I am at www.facebook.com/Alibaba the OG, and also Facebook/Z MySpace/Baba Wonka, MySpace/The Wonkanese. CD Baby, you can get that by going Alibaba the OakTown Griot, CD Baby. It can also be found iTunes, and that'll be Alibaba the OakTown Griot. And so best way to hit me up is go ahead and Google Alibaba, and the stuff's out there. They got freeloads out there. free downloads rather out there. They also have stuff you can buy. You can download the videos, a couple of videos out there that you can get on YouTube. And last but not least, you see me in the streets, I always got a sack of CDs.
All right.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming to the show and sharing a little bit about your history, how your transition and the chorus and your poetry, and that was a beautiful poem. And thank you so much for coming to the BreezeWay. And I know we're going to see a lot more of you in the Breeze.
Yeah, I'll be in the BreezeWay.
All right.
All right.
Well, we want to thank y'all for joining us again for another episode of the BreezeWay 510. And guess what? It's our last episode. Oh my gosh, for season 1. So we did it. We made it to our last episode of season 1. So thanks to Miss Piccola Evans for allowing me to be a part of this show and to be your host for season 1. And I just thank you. And I hope you guys keep in touch with the BreezeWay 510. If you want to be a guest on season 2, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on YouTube. Just type in the BreezeWay 510 and send us your information, send us your links so we can, get information about you and invite you to come down here because we don't know what you're doing unless you tell us. So make sure you find us on Facebook and find us on YouTube, the BreezeWay 510 for season 2. We're going to start recording some in 2014, so get in now. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Reedism for Life. That's REEDISM, the number 4 LIFE, Reedism for Life. Follow me on there, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for following us all season long, and we appreciate you. And make sure you stay breezy, all right? This is BreezeWay 510. We're done. Bye.